Implausible Nature now has dice. That's right, you can get these awesome D6s made by our partner Baron of Dice. These custom dice have the Implausible Nature logo on the six side and also come with square corners, which means they will roll more evenly than rounded corner dice. Head on over to baronofdice.com and use discount code IN40K to get a discount on your order and support us at the same time. Check out his full collection of dice for all your gaming needs with the link down in the description.
Welcome to Implausible Nature, your home for all things Black Templar. On today's video, we are talking about yet another brand spanking new model for the Black Templars release that is coming up sometime this year. It says later this year. It literally could mean next month, or it could mean 4 months from now. So, in any case, very exciting news. We're getting another unique character. This is a Chaplain model. So very excited about that. They have called him the Execrator, which is very close to something completely different. So, nevertheless, I really dig this model. They previewed one of his rules as well, which is also cool. So we're going to get into that. So first, let's take a look at this article and see what GW says about it. So, Space Marine chaplains are wrathful and uncompromising, but when you have a chaplar like the Black Templars who already fight with the fury of 1,000 suns, it takes a special kind of righteous rage to stand out from the pack. I love that wording already. Those who find their true calling, bellowing sermons from the front line, find a new purpose among the Emperor's Crusaders, and any with a particular predilection for smashing skulls in close combat are given the special rank of Execrator. So as we can see here is the model in all his glory. And as we'll see in a few minutes, he actually has quite a few optional bits, which is really cool. Really excited about that. Further, it says, it is the divine duty of the execrators to ensure the Black Templars' holy vows are fulfilled in battle, inspiring comrades with their own feats of martial prowess. They are often the first through the breach and the last to fall, terrifying enemies with sheer brutality of their assaults and spurring allies to join them in melee. Accordingly, their remorseless persecution, I'm guessing that's the name of their rule, drives the unit that they join into a berserk fury, letting them charge in the same turn as they advance. Finally, behold our advance and charge, given freely, finally. We'll talk about that more in a minute, too. This makes a tooled-up squad of sword brethren into a terrifying cruise missile of a unit if missiles were made of blades and hammers, even before factoring in the execrator's own fighting skills. Typically, chaplains aren't that great. But it says if you opt to leave the pyre pistol at home, he can pack a mastercrafted power sword in addition to his Crazius, giving the mad lad 8 2-damage attacks every time he fights. And then it says you'll be able to get your hands on the Execrator, as well as the spiffy new Crusade Ancient when the Codex Supplement arrives on the scene later this year. So first, let's talk about this model. So you can see here some of the other options. Not only does he have 2 Crazius options, he has 2 backpack options. He has at least a helmet and an unhelmeted version. Unhelmeted chaplains are complete heresy. I don't know why we would ever field an unhelmeted chaplain. That completely goes against their lore. But it's there, I guess, if you want to. And then he also has an option for the aforementioned power sword. And then whatever this is, like a skull thing on chains, it looks really cool. So really love this guy. He is super dope. And of course, he has the pyre pistol as well. His armor is super cool. The only thing that I'm not a super fan of is his helmet is a little too plain, in my opinion. I think the top of the skull is just too smooth, much like the top of my skull, as you know, with my So it looks like he's just got a receding hairline, right? So that's the only complaint I have. Versus if you look at like previous chaplains. Their skull helms were a literal skull, so it had like the little lines where you have your skull is not a smooth thing, right? So it looked like an actual skull fashioned into a helmet. They've kind of gone away from that in recent Chaplains, and this is no exception. However, a little bit of green stuff and some kit bashing or just changing out the helmet. The rest of the helmet, it's just really the top of the head. That's the only thing that bothers me. Everything else is cool. So, Bob, what are your thoughts on this model?
I am of the opinion that you need to make sure that you are wearing a helmet, Space Marine.
Yeah, yes.
I will say I'm not a fan of Leatherface. Uh,
Leatherface. Yeah,
he's
what Bob is referring to is this dude right here.
But yes, the model itself is epic. I love the fact that he's got a tabard, something that was distinctly lacking from all the other Chaplain models.
Mhm.
I mean, technically, you can make the parchment paper somewhat of a tabard, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is official Black Templar tabler style with lots of Crusader seals. One thing I think model wise and rule wise, I think is notably absent is the lack of a Rosarius. I don't see one on the model itself.
You know what though?
So I'm
I
curious.
I think have they even been modeling those? Like I don't recall any recent ones having a Rosarius on them.
I can't speak to that, but I do know that it's missing. So is he going to have a 4+ save? I personally think they're cool. So
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of
they are cool.
a little bit of, a little of a miss there, but um, it's completely minor at this point. Like I've seen some complaints today. Bob's working all day, but I see the chats going on, and uh, I see the comments that this is a reworked model. Come on, come on,
Yeah.
seriously. So
Yeah, I don't really get
it's
the complaints. We got a brand new model with a bunch of dope options. Also, I'm looking at the other two Primaris chaplains that are on foot. Neither one of them has any kind of Crozius around their neck or anything. So, um, unless you're going to call these little dangly bits that they have hanging off of them, but those just look like generic bits that could be from any box kit. I would be shocked if they took his 4-up invulnerable save away. I realize that Judiciar is allegedly part of the chaplaincy, but he's not. He doesn't have the chaplain keyword. He's not really a chaplain. This dude is really a chaplain. He has a Crozius. Um,
yeah.
which honestly I like. I think I like this Crozius better, the one in the first image, over the one with Leatherface. However, the Leatherface Crozius is cool because it evokes the old school foot metal chaplain. The dude who's kind of like leaning and he's got like, you know what I mean? That old school model. So it does kind of evoke that look, which is neat. So tons of cool bling on this guy, lots of options. If nothing else, you get some extra bits to model your dudes with. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about his rules. Unless you had something else to you want to say?
I just wanted to say on this is I know there was a lot of people that were talking about they hoped that there was chaplain models or something with the rules having to do with chaplain, and I think Games Workshop was listening, and this is the result of that, so where it may not necessarily come into the rules specifically, but having a new model that's specific to the Black Templars that no one else has access to, I think that's pretty epic. The only other thing I do want to mention is like, yeah, he does have similar poses as some of the other models, but a lot of this is done digitally now. And if you're going to want some new models, uh, not everything is the same as other models out there. And there's only so many poses that you can do.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
there's a ton of Space Marines out there. So,
Well,
I mean, I
you're
kind of
never gonna please
understand.
everyone either. If he's like in a a not often used pose where he's more static, people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's so boring. He's not doing anything." And if you have him running, well, he's running. Everyone's running. Look at all these other running models. I mean, like you're never gonna please
He's
everyone.
on a rock, attacked a
Yeah.
rock.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
that is true. I mean, tactical rocks are a thing, but um, I do appreciate that we're getting a new model. I think he's dope. I
Yeah, I like him
don't
a lot.
really don't really care that he's running in a similar pose to other running models. I mean, you can only have so many different running poses. Um, so I'm totally fine with it. So let's move on to his rules. So obviously he gets advance and charge. They made that clear. They didn't straight up say it, but I'm assuming that the power sword option gives him extra attacks. So he's getting 5 from the Crosius and 3 from the power sword. Because how else would he get to 8?
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
that must be the second set of rules that he has, is if he's double wielding, he's getting those extra attacks.
he probably has +1 to wound as well, would be my guess. So +1 to wound plus advance and charge, which is significantly better than the stock chaplain.
That would be ridiculously strong. Let's hope so.
Yes, let's hope so. Because yeah, that would be amazing. So what are your thoughts on advance and charge being attached to this guy?
I like it. Okay, so there is some caveats to that. It's typically our chaplains have not been able to run with other uh, models, so that's a thing. So like your lieutenant is not going to be able to get with the chaplain. So that's kind of a little bit of a downer, but we don't know what the rules are going to be for our detachment. But if we want access to lethals, as it currently states, we will have to uh, miss out, take either this or the lieutenant or Castellan in our
Yeah.
case. Um, but having access to advances charge, something that we have all been screaming for up and down throughout the universe,
Since the
since we
beginning of
lost it.
time.
Yep. So this is something that you are getting back. You have the ability to, presumably for a few dozen points, less than 100, I would imagine, give this guy to your units to be able to get him across. I would suspect, and I've seen wish listing out there, that he's going to have scouts that he can go with the Primaris Crusader squads. We don't even know if they're going to have scouts going forward in the new rules, and I would suspect that he probably does not have it. So you're going to have to deal with that. But I think having advance of charge is something that we can deal with in the fact that you can throw this guy on a large Primaris Crusader squad if you want, if that's the way you want to go, or you can do something with your sword brethren if you don't want to put a Castellan or a lieutenant with them, or even Helbrecht. You can put them in an impulsor, drop them off, second turn, get them out there, and then you can slingshot those suckers across the board and get your advance of charge and kill something.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a great way to get even more cagey with our list, kind of like how we did in 9th edition with a lot of those rules that we had. This is going to give us a lot of technical tactic usage on the board, and I think ironically this is going to make our Grotchman's detachment, really good,
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
because now we have access to
Advance of charge
advance
and
of
+2
charge.
move and +1 to advance, and so yeah, I like that he's got advance and charge. It's always, I love, lore based lists as much as possible within the competitive realm, and chaplains are just always kind of outclassed by everyone. Um, so uh, so yeah, so I love that this makes him a competitive choice in both PCS and potentially Sword Bros. Now, does this make the 10-man Sword Bro on foot a viable option just based on what we currently have with Righteous Crusaders? If nothing else changed and all we got was this dude, what would your thoughts be on that, Bob?
Um, I think it's still a positive, a net gain positive. So knowing nothing else, I think it's a good change.
Yeah,
I do have some concerns though with this.
as do I.
There is a few. a few recent releases that have Space Wolves come to mind here, where unique characters are only able to be attached to specific units.
Yes.
Um,
Not
so
only that, if we look at Space Wolves, and this is I mentioned this on the Discord, and I think you're right. I think we're going to get the Space Wolves character treatment. So all of their unique infantry units can only have their unique characters be attached to them. So they're generic and named characters. This now gives us four generic characters and three named characters. So, because we have a lieutenant and a captain equivalent, now we have an ancient equivalent, now we have a chaplain equivalent. So I'm thinking that is going to be the route they're going to go. Also, in the Space Wolves Codex, those generic characters can only lead their generic units. Their units, right? They cannot, like a Space Wolf battle leader cannot lead Blade Guard. He can only lead Head Takers or Blood Claws, or I don't think I can't remember if he can lead Grey Hunters or not. But he can only lead Space Wolf unique units. So I'm pretty sure that that's going going that direction. And I'll give you my thought on it is, okay, it's not that much of a loss to me because 9 times out of 10 I'm putting our unique characters with those units anyway. Um, this Castellan is not that much worse than a lieutenant to put with Helbricht. Um, I'm pretty much running our named characters with Sword Bros right now anyway. Like, I'm not the only non BT character that I'm running with our units, with our specific units, is the lieutenant, and that's it. And it's unless the Castellan rules change, which is always a possibility, well, then it's pretty much the same. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's probably what they're going to be going and doing. I agree with that. That's my concern. The difference is Space Wolves have a ton more infantry units that they can attach to. So we have two, because I would be extremely, extremely, extremely surprised if the firstborn primary
There's
or
no way it's
the
surviving.
firstborn
It's gone. I'll tell
Crusader
you right
squad
now,
is in this book.
there's no way it's going to survive.
Yeah,
Um,
it would. I don't think it's there. So that leaves us with two units that it can join. Now I agree most of the time that we are going to be putting them on the high damage dealing units like those two initially, but it does give us some tactical flexibility if we wanted to throw it like on maybe a Blade Guard veteran, because they are cost effective at that point now.
Advance and charge
Some
on a
other
Blade Guard vets would be amazing.
So I mean, that's something that you could do, but now you're not going to be able to do if they're locked in. So I mean, that's a concern for me. But I do
Now,
have other things that is possibly a concern. So
quick counterpoint
if you
before we
if you
get there.
put oh okay
Yeah, quick counterpoint before we get there. You mentioned Space Wolves. They really only have, okay, technically they have three unique infantry units. They have Grey Hunters, Blood Claws, and then two flavors of Wolfen, but it's basically just warrior choices, right? With a different rule. So two flavors of Wolfen. Unless you have a specific enhancement, none of the characters can lead the Wolfen. So all of their characters are either leading Grey Hunters or Blood Claws. Or I guess technically Head Takers, which is Blade Guard. So there's three. So there's three plus Wolfen. The Wolfen don't count because almost without a specific enhancement from one detachment, nobody can lead the Wolfen anyway. So they don't really count. So they only have three. They only have three units. They have Terminators, but only Arjak and Logan Grimnar can lead the Terminators. They don't have any generic Terminator characters. They don't have any Thunderwolf characters. So they're really just have three infantry units for their generic and named infantry characters outside of Terminators, of which there's only two named character choices. So, yes, it seems like they have more, but they really don't have that much more than us.
Yep.
So I don't foresee that as it's not as big a concern to me personally. And I mean, there's still a possibility that the we're I think we're isn't it one of the rumors that we're getting an actual unit or something like that, not just characters.
I haven't heard that one
Could
specifically
have sworn
mentioned.
Valrak or
There's a
somebody
lot of
said that we were getting something else. I don't know. Um, in
I
any
wish
case,
list that there to be some
yeah,
Sword Brother
we've talked to
Terminators.
yes, we have talked about Sword Brethren Terminators. If they give us Sword Brethren Terminators, then great.
On top
Um,
of this, that's a perfect. Just take my money.
yeah. In any case, moving on to your next concern, Bob.
Okay, so I have another concern. Slight concern. This is all rules based now. So my other concern is not that we've necessarily needed it, because we've been successful in 10th edition without advance and charge, but is gonna seems like they're gonna lock it to a model. So that means you're not gonna have the ability to use it tactically on other pieces of your army. You're gonna be tied to this model's unit, which will be able to make sure that your opponent is able to adapt to your game plan throughout the day. So it's less tactical than potentially it could have been as if it was in a stratagem. Um, but it's not a really big issue for me. It's a slight concern, mainly because it allows us to save CP. So while you're not able to use it across a broader side of your army, you don't have to save CP to do it. You can always have it. So I mean that's just another thought that I had with that.
Yeah. Uh, to your point, though, in Saga of the Bold, there is a strat for advance and charge. Um, it does have to have a character attached to it. And then I swear there was another one that gave da, 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 that gave advance and charge.
Well, I'm not saying that there necessarily won't be a stratagem. It's just less
Yeah,
likely
yeah,
because they have a model that is granting it.
I hear that. Yeah. Um, so, what do you think about the option to include a power sword for extra attacks?
I think that's probably going to be for if they're going to go into the Sword Brother. And you talked about it with a 10-man unit. I think it's a net bonus, like I mentioned. I think if it's a Sword Brethren squad, you're going to want to go melee, most likely. If you're going to be going with a big giant blob of 10 or 20 Primaris Crusader squads, you might want to take the Flamer, simply because if you have something charge into you, you can get some Overwatch in there. I think that's better off than having just the 3 extra attacks or 4, whatever the stat line is.
Three. I think
Um,
it's three because standard chaplains have 5 attacks. So,
yeah,
um, I think that
um,
sword is pretty much an auto take for me. like I can't imagine wanting D6 strength 4 AP 0 damage 1 shots on whatever versus an extra 3 strength 5 AP 2 damage 2 hitting on 2s attacks. Um, so yeah, that's my thought.
I
I'm
think
pretty
the
much gonna auto
vast
take.
majority of the time it's
Yeah.
going to be the sword.
Plus, it looks
I
cool.
I think there's going to be niche times where it might be not want to take it.
Yeah,
Plus,
it looks
I don't
cool.
know.
It looks cool.
I like the flames.
Flames are fun.
Gonna burn some
Burn the witches. Yeah, I get you. I get you. Um,
witch.
so
The sword's gonna be where it's gonna be at.
probably yeah. So in any case, so that's kind of all the things I can think of. I don't think there's anything else that I can really think of. We kind of covered our concerns as far as um, you know what's going to change as far as the who can lead what. We talked about the model. We talked about his rules that was previewed. So overall, I'm really excited for this release. Both of these models are sick. They're just so good. I'm so excited for them, and they come with a bunch of options, which is really cool. Always like that. And yeah, this preview definitely a 9 out of 10 for me. So really super excited to see more. Hopefully we get some more previews here in the next week or two. As always, we will be covering every new article that GW releases. We will try to cover it as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, we both work day jobs, so usually these are going to come out at night. So on day of release, look for something in the evening, Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to try and get it out to you as quickly as possible, so that way we can get you guys our thoughts and start the conversation going on the YouTube channel, because we got a lot of great engagement on the last one. Thank you guys for participating in that chat. It was a lot of fun to hear everyone's excitement and talk about the new ancient model. Let's do it again on this one. Don't forget.
Then I bet you it's going to be way bigger this time around.
Yes.
Everyone's excited
About the
this guy.
Chaplain. Yeah, exactly. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. All those things help push the YouTube algorithm thingy. Check us out on Patreon, Implausible Nature patreon.com/implausible nature. We love your support. We are so grateful for our patrons and our YouTube members. We have a YouTube membership as well. Check us out on Discord. We would love to have you on our Discord channel, where we got lots of great discussions going on every day. So
links are fixed.
Yeah, the links are fixed. So until next time, let's keep on crusading.